What's up guys, Cliff here from the Sunday Drive, and as much as I love my 2014 Silverado, and I do really like it, there are things that I keep finding that there's just no excuse for. These things should have never been an issue. A truck that's been out for more than a year should have had this fixed, and it's still happening on the 19s and 20s, the generation after my 14 Silverado. So in today's video, we're gonna show you how to fix this problem so it doesn't become a headache for you. So the issue that I'm talking about is the leaking third brake light and front antenna. And GM's making trucks for a while. There's no reason that a truck should roll off the showroom floor and within a year or two already have a leaking gasket. Now I've gotten very lucky with mine that mine has not started to leak, but I see posts all the time where the headliner's wrecked because water has gotten inside. And this is happening on brand new 19 and 20s. And that's just unacceptable in my opinion, that any new vehicle that you're spending $40, $50, $60, $70,000 for has a leaking gasket like this. So in today's video, we're gonna show you how to pop off this third brake light, seal this up to prevent it from ever leaking, as well as the front antenna. There's two T20 Torx bits that hold this third brake light in place. If you guys wanna know how to install this headache rack, we have a video showing how to do that, as well as the rear ladder rack that goes with it. It is one of our older videos, so our production quality has improved a little bit since then, but it is still helpful if you want to know how to install that. So here's the bolt that we just removed, and you can see that there is a little bit of a thread sealer at the very top right there, so we're going to put some new thread sealer on here to make sure that this stays weather tight. This little thumb driver definitely comes in handy, so we'll have a link to the tools that we're using in this video, as in all of our videos that we do. It's tight. Should have gotten the second one. Okay. Now press down and that will disconnect. Now you want to be really careful removing this, because I just pried a little bit on here and you can see how this is all black right here, and now this cracked a little bit, and so that's red now. That's the color of the lens underneath, so that's really interesting that I didn't really put much force on there at all. You have these two tabs right there that are holding it in place. I want to be careful while you're prying this off so that you don't do what I just did. I'm really surprised that happened. Very little force, and that happened right there, and actually happened on this side too. So just be very careful when you go to remove this. So this gasket right here is the culprit, and if you look at the bottom, it's nice and thick and plush, but up top, it's pretty compressed down and starting to dry rot. So what the problem is, at least what I think is happening, is water and dirt is getting in the top right here. It's sitting and slowly dry rotting this out, and then once that gasket goes, you get water on your headliner, and that'll just destroy the headliner. I've seen so many pictures of headliners with giant watermarks coming from the back here. Once that happens, it's really hard to get your headliner looking new again. So if your headliner hasn't started to leak, definitely a good, or if your rear brake light hasn't started to leak, definitely a good idea to preventatively do this. Now, I don't know if you can buy this gasket separately. So if you can, I'll have a link to it in the description. But if it comes as a whole unit, I'll also have a link to the entire brake light down in the description. And I think that dirt all sitting up top there definitely gives you a clue of what's happening with that seal as well. Now, if there's any rust in here, you definitely want to make sure that you paint that. You don't want to put silicone right on top of rust, because it does not lock out moisture from getting to that rust, and then you're just going to have this rusting out even worse than it was before. So only apply silicone if this is a clean surface where the paint is intact. And I'm just going to take some 70% isopropyl alcohol and clean the rest of the surface up to make sure we get a good adhesion with the silicone. You want to use 70% rather than 90, as 90 can damage the paint. Now, because I did compromise that lens potentially, I may replace my brake light. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to have a good seal on it or not. So that's something to keep in mind if that does happen when you go to remove this. Now we're going to apply a thin bead of the silicone. It's just a clear silicone, and we'll have this linked in the description. And I'm not going to apply it to the bottom, because the bottom still has a good seal. Just going to start on the edge. I clean this up. Just want it to be a continuous bead. Reconnect the electrical connection. Just line up those two marks. Now I'm going to use some thread sealant. Now, this is a high temp thread sealant, but I think it'll still work on here. It's something I used in my motor, but hopefully it also works in this application. You don't need to use a lot. A little bit should do. And make sure you don't over tighten this because it is tightening down on plastic. If you want to be extra careful and really make sure you don't have anything leaking, you could do an additional bead of silicone around the top. But again, what we put inside should be sufficient, and this gives you a nice clean look, but that is something extra you could do. Now your front antenna right here can also leak, and if it is leaking, you most likely want to pull down your headliner and release the bolt that holds this in place. However, mine is not leaking yet, thankfully. So all I'm gonna do is put a little bead of silicone basically right at the back here. So if you look at the back of the gasket, there's a hole that actually lets water run inside, and then there's an internal gasket in here that prevents it from getting inside the vehicle. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of a bead along the back side right here, and that should be enough to permanently seal this. Just like with the third brake light, I cleaned it up first with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and hopefully that's enough to seal this up. Now if I have a leak with this at any point, we'll be sure to update that down in the comments, but I think this is enough to seal this up, so we shouldn't have any leaks. For whatever silicone you use, make sure it has the correct temperature and time necessary to cure before it gets exposed to any rain or inclement weather. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or questions, definitely leave those down below. And remember, anytime you purchase something from one of our Amazon affiliate links, we get a little bit of a kickback. No extra cost to you guys, and it helps us keep this channel going, bringing more content like this. So thanks for watching, thank you for your support, and we'll see you back here next time. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this video to be helpful, please give us a thumbs up.